Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Lipstick and Cyber podcast presented by F12.net, where we explore the dynamic intersection of technology, security, and the incredible women leading the charge in these fields. I'm your host, Mahina, and today we'll be discussing how women are breaking barriers in cybersecurity, defending data with both style and strength. In today's episode, we'll dive deep into strategies, tools, and emerging trends in cybersecurity and how businesses, both large and small, can stay protected in this digital first world. Whether you're a tech professional or simply curious about cybersecurity landscape, this episode will really provide you invaluable insights. Joining us today is incredible Samhitha Keshireddy, a security operations analyst at F12.net. Samhitha specializes both blue and red teaming and has been instrumental in securing internal and client systems. With her certifications in CompTIA Security Plus, Pen Test Plus, and CASP Plus, and a master's degree in information systems and security management, Samhitha has proven herself to be a leader in cybersecurity. She's also actively involved in the cybersecurity community, contributing at events like B-Sides Edmonton and VCs Canada. Samhitha, we're thrilled to have you on the show. How are you?
Awesome. Doing great. And thank you so much for the introduction. That's lovely.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. Samantha, your expertise in cybersecurity will be, incredibly valuable for our listeners, and we cannot wait to dive into topics like the red and blue teaming and community building in cybersecurity. Now, let's start by discussing one of the core aspects of your work, which is red and blue teaming. These roles play a vital part in both attacking and defending security systems, but for many people outside the field, it can seem abstract. Can you please share an interesting story where your role in red teaming or blue teaming made a significant difference in enhancing security for a client?
So, yeah, in order to talk about the impact that red teaming and the blue teaming usually create in terms of the client's environment is, let's say, I would give an example that we had a client who approached us that they are constantly getting hit. They're receiving multiple emails, like spam emails, and they're also seeing a lot of brute force attacks on their environment. And they're also seeing that some kind of unusual activity that's happening in their network laterally, and it started giving them like a pause, like, okay, what exactly is happening in our environment, and we don't really have a proper incident response or a plan to actually take action, or proper security knowledge people inside the organization to determine what exactly is happening in their environment. And then they approached us, and we started checking their environment, started performing simple penetration tests in their environment, and started to analyze what exactly is happening. And we identified that there are a lot of security gaps in their environment. Let's say, for example, they have a lot of open ports to the public which are not in use, which is like the most attack prone area for anyone to hit the environment. And there are also a lot of reused credentials and weak credentials that are using for the admins especially, and they don't have a least privilege because a lot of people are having access to their environment. So these are like the basic gaps that are being identified in their environment, and they're not even performing the patches for their applications that they're using. There are certain end of life applications sitting in their environment, and there are a lot of implementation activities that were provided and remediations provided to the client. And then soon we shift to the blue teaming, where we started implementing. The first and foremost thing that we did is to implement the MDR, so which actually keeps a constant monitoring on the environment and gives us the indication if there are any of such activity that's happening in their environment, and it notifies us, and we can go ahead and see what exactly is happening. And constant monitoring on our network is always the best thing to do. And we started patching the unpatched servers and unpatched softwares that are existing in their environment. And clients started noticing a significant difference where there is proper security activities that are happening in their environment, and the process of their daily activity has been increased, the proficiency has been increased, and everything is doing great in their environment. And he was like very, very happy that at least they are having some of the security practices in place at this point. And they started in showing interest more towards how to even more implement certain activities, how to train their employees, how to be actively known about all of these activities in their environment. And yeah, this is like the basic basic things that we normally notice, and that's how we show the difference. So
Well, that's
yeah,
good to know. And it's such a great example. And it really showcases the importance of both offensive and defensive cybersecurity measures.
exactly.
But Samita, when working with clients, how do you balance these two approaches to ensure the most effective security solution?
Yeah, we normally, look at multiple clients, right? Like some of them, they don't really have a basic security in place, and they're like struggling to, get in place with the security. So the normal approach we use to follow is see what exactly the client requirement is, why he is looking towards a security approach, what is the existing security activities that they are performing, what policies they have, how are they tackling if they receive any of incidents or any of unusual activity in their environment, and see what exactly the critical asset in their environment is, and how are they trying to protect that particular critical asset, and why do they want to protect that one is the main key identity in order to provide the effective solutions for the client. So identifying those gaps in their environment and maintaining their requirement and analyzing the level of their industry or the work that they are doing or the contribution that they are providing to the industry. So analyzing all of these activities will easily helps to see what approach we need to follow, like whether you're directly performing a test and showing them that how vulnerable they are and trying to improve their security posture, or they already have enough security posture in their environment, but they are looking to strengthen that. How are you going to provide solutions to strengthen that? So we normally dig around all of these certain approaches, and we try to see how we can provide the effective solutions to the clients depending upon their environment and the security posture.
No, it's quite clear that proactive and defensive strategies they go hand in hand in creating robust security frameworks. Next, let's shift our focus to some of the most pressing threats you're seeing today. I mean, the cybersecurity landscape it's constantly evolving, and new threats seem to appear overnight. And as someone working at the forefront of this forefront of this field, I'd love to hear about what's on your radar right now. So, Samita, what are the most pressing cybersecurity threats that you're currently seeing, and how are businesses mitigating these risks?
Absolutely. I think we definitely have to talk about what are the pressing concerns exactly that are in the trend. I think it's just not about me. I think a lot of people still talk about the phishing, right? The social engineering activities that you normally see, which is the most trending and the highest attack prone area, and easy to, have people fall for it because human errors are like the most easy getting attacked way where anyone can actually get involved in. So the phishing, or we call the social engineering, is the most evolving thread that I can say in the environment, and that's like stealing credentials, having the access to the internal environment, stealing your information, affecting the financial data especially, which involves a lot of people in the world, right? And the most mitigating steps that you can actually follow is having a proper email security solutions, right? Like like let's say like check if you are having an anti spam policies enabled in your environment, enable the DKIM solutions, enable the DMARC solutions, and check the constantly monitoring your email activities, right? Okay, what are you getting hit on, and how is the environment looking around from outside? Implement the multi-factor authentication. Let's say if you got hit, there is a multi-factor authentication which is already in place, which protects to a level of security where it at least acts as a layer of security, right? Then provide constant security awareness training for employees to be stay on top of like how to identify the phishing emails, how to stay on top of the regular activity and differentiate the phishing activity that's happening around. So you just have to stay active and stay top of it and make sure that you're not falling for it. End of the day, yes, we are all busy and all our lives are in the emails, but yeah, we need to be like more careful on what you're responding to, what you're doing to. So yeah, and apart from phishing, so there is another one which is also like I'm seeing like a lot of other activities that are happening around it is the ransomware attacks.
Hmm.
The phishing is actually one of the major reason to actually enter into the ransomware attack, right? Like, let's say like you got into an environment with a phishing and you got an email compromise, and now you have access to that person, and let's say that person is having all the local admin privileges. So you now have entire environment in your hands and just boom, just encrypt everything and demand a ransom and you threaten the people to have your data outside and available to everyone, right? So the major thing is that you need to have a regular backups in such cases. And just because you have a backups doesn't mean that you are safe enough, right? You also have to test those backups. Are those, properly having your environment run, even if there is any issue or an incident? You need to test them properly and training the users on how to, identify these ones, how to stay on top of it. It always creates a great impact in terms of mitigating these ones, I would say.
Well, that's
Yeah.
incredibly insightful, and it's a great reminder that staying on top of the latest threats is critical for anyone managing a business or dealing with sensitive data as well. But emerging trends are something all businesses need to be aware of, and as
Yeah.
you've explained, Samantha, preparation is key. Now, let's talk about the tools that help us stay secure. Now, in your work, you're probably, come across numerous security tools and technologies, and some tools can make all the difference in how efficiently security teams respond to threats. Samantha, what's your favorite security tool or technology to work with, and why does it stand out to you?
Oh, well, I can talk a lot about tools that we're using on a daily basis, but it generally depends, I think, on a person on what exactly that they're doing. Let's say if I am, completely performing the blue teaming activities on that particular day, my favorite tools would differ on how I'm using them or what incident that I'm really tackling on that particular time, right? Like, let's say if I'm, responding to all the alerts that I'm getting from our SIEM tool or from the MDR, I would, opt for Splunk, which is like a great tool for me because of the diversity that it have and the documentation that's available and the support that it usually provides in terms of any issues that you're facing or how you want to, identify those logs or activities or perform the threat intelligence as well through it is very, very easy in order to do it around your network. And let's say if I'm performing a blue teaming activity and if I have to do a website scan or anything, I would, obviously opt for Burp Suite, which is like a more handy tool and easy to learn. And they have a lot of learning essentials which are provided in their website, which you can, simulate the real attacks and learn more into it. So depending upon the activity that I normally do, they differ. And yeah, absolutely they stand up to me.
Well, that sounds like an essential tool. It's always interesting to hear which technologies are making the biggest impact in the real world scenarios. Now, Samita, for smaller businesses that may not have access to such sophisticated tools, what budget friendly alternatives would you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this definitely that we need to talk about it, right? So let's say for smaller businesses who doesn't have enough budget or enough activity that they have to do with these tools, the first thing that I would usually suggest is to partner with an MSP or an MSSP who are already having these solutions in place and giving it to you in terms of services, right? Which is like the easy go-to solution where you get multiple solutions all together because you get the email protection, you get the MDR solution, which almost you have the activity of a SIEM. And they also perform a constant penetration test on your environment if the service is provided and you get the gap analysis done. So these ones are like you don't have to have tools all in place and you have to create a budget for each individual tool or each individual aspect that you're seeing, right? Like that's like the one easy thing. Let's say you're not ready for partnering with an MSP. You also have like alternatives such as MDR solutions, let's say Blackpoint, which is offering the MDR solutions for small and medium scale businesses at the low cost. And then again, for the email security or training the employees, you also have available free resources outside. And there are a lot of open projects where are people contributing to the community. You can always use them as a resource to train the people or to perform any tests. So you have enough options out there though you don't have access to all of the big tools that normally everyone uses.
No, it's great to know that there are powerful tools available for businesses of all sizes. Next, let's move into how small businesses can navigate the cybersecurity landscape because small businesses, they often struggle with limited resources when it comes to cybersecurity. But we know that security is just as critical for them as it is for larger enterprises. Samantha, what is your top advice for small businesses that is looking to strengthen their cybersecurity posture without breaking the bank?
Yeah, it's always not about breaking banks, right? Like to have a proper security posture to secure your environment. I mean, there are a lot of other things that you can normally do in your environment. Let's say uh, human error, as we are talking earlier about the phishing, like human error is the most important aspect to have these attacks prone. Let's say train the employees as much as possible. Create a cyber environment in your organization. Make sure that there are activities. Ensure that people are engaging themselves and talking about what they can do, how they can actually tackle these ones, and how betterly they can open up their minds in terms of analyzing those incidents or attacks, and then implement the multi-factor authentication, which is like another additional layer that you can have these ones protected. And then make sure that all the employees in the organization have unique strong passwords according to the standards, like follow the standards which is really available, right? Like make sure that you all have that standard passwords and having the least privileges specifically.
Hmm.
And for the every user, that just give the access to the right people and maintain that integrity in the across the environment. And let's say you have multiple applications that you're using in your environment, regular patching of those applications, staying top of those applications, like what exactly the update versions they are releasing on, what vulnerabilities they exist on, and are we staying top of it. So having those ones, you don't have to have a specific security tool which does that for you, right? You can have a regular monitoring on your environment, and then establish clear, I would say, security policies, like basic security policies, where like for example, what can say, use case policy, right? Like acceptable use case policy. Like, okay, what is acceptable to bring into your network? What is acceptable to connect to your network? And to what level that you have to use? And set the proper data protection layer that not make sure that no data is outsourced from your environment, right? And also make sure that you have network segmentation in your environment so that every aspect of the network is limited, and let's say even if there is a spread of malware, it is very limited to that particular environment when it is segmented, right?
Hmm.
And as discussed, we also have a lot of MSSPs, partner with them, take advantage of what services that they are providing and try to stay on top of them. And at least once a year, try to perform the gap analysis and the penetration test to identify and see where exactly you're sitting and what else you can do in terms of improving your security posture. And yeah, these are like the most basic, things where you don't have to have enough budget to always solve these issues. Like defense is always the greater way to have these ones in place. So
That's
yeah,
great advice. Like, that's great advice. Often simple but effective strategies can really go a long way in ensuring security for small businesses. And it's really encouraging to know that even small businesses can make big strides in cybersecurity with the right approach. And for all the small business owners listening, please don't overlook the importance of cybersecurity because even a small investment in security can prevent a huge loss down the line. Samantha, let's now take a look at how aspiring professionals can grow their careers in this field. And especially for those that are starting out in cybersecurity, it can be overwhelming to decide which path to take. And specializations like penetration testing or security operations seem to be high in demand. How can someone just starting in cybersecurity carve out a niche in areas like penetration testing or security operations?
well, yeah, it should definitely be like a lot of overwhelming, because that's how I felt when I initially started, because you have a lot of different sectors in security as a whole, right? Like you have defense, you have offensive security, and you have just the governance. You have like where you can deal with all the policies and the governance and the controls in the organization. And I would say try to try to identify where your exact interest is in these areas. let's not step into everything, right? Like putting two legs in the same place wouldn't help much. Like try to identify your interest and then start evolving, right? See what exactly the trends are, what exactly is happening, and follow the news, what exactly is happening. Make sure that there is a plan that, okay, I'm going to do certain certifications to have these ones done. Let's say for blue teaming, do the basic certifications like a security plus, which gives you a clear approach on, okay, what exactly these people would do, and set up a home lab environment. Try to see your own network and try to simulate the real attacks on your own environment. And you would then understand, like, okay, these are like my areas of interest and these are ones that I'm struggling with. And you can, make sure that you can balance those ones, try to follow that approach, I would say. And see what else you can do. And that structure of learning path, what is really helped with me, having a home environment, a home lab setup, and make sure that what my interests are in, and then started with blue teaming, and then slowly I started evolving into the red teaming too. So keeping keeping those ones in mind. And it's a slow process, obviously. I would say it's not like, on a day you just learn and next day you're up for it. But when you keep doing it, practice, stay on top of all the trends, and that's how you be on top of it.
Oh, that's such a practical and clear approach for anyone that is beginning in the field. But to build onto this a bit more, Samhita, do you think certifications or hands-on experience is more valuable for beginners that are looking to specialize in these areas?
Well, I would say, let's say, like, if you're doing a certification or if you're doing a course, that clearly gives you a structured way of learning, right? Like, because because for some people it's very hard to give it a start. So if you enroll in a certification course or if you're doing a certification, it will give you a structured way on how you want to do it. So it's always a better way to start for people who are struggling to start. And there are some companies and some organizations which usually see these certifications as a special recognition in terms of providing you a job, let's say, for example. And it will also give you that confidence, I would say, that you can proudly say, yes, I am certified, and yes, I have knowledge in that particular area. Because let's say you're going out, you want to talk to someone, and you would say, yeah, I know blue teaming, I do the defensive approach. But how are you going to prove it? You just can't prove it on the spot, right? Like, let's say when you're showing your certifications, it gives them that confidence that, yes, this person would have been capable of something that he's talking about or she's talking
Mhm.
about. And there are certain job requirements too, right? Like there are some jobs where they usually look for certain certifications. If you have those ones, we see them as a credibility and we would, approach you. So I would definitely say certifications would actually play a major role. And it's not that it's the only way that to do, and you also need to have a proper practical way improve yourself to do so. It's always a better way to start with certifications, but it's also important that you also grow in terms of practical knowledge.
That's fantastic advice. Now, let's talk about the impact of community involvement in the cybersecurity world, because in addition to your technical expertise, you're also very active in the cybersecurity community through organizations like B-Sides Edmonton and VCs Canada. And I'm sure this has helped shape your career in many ways. Samantha, how has volunteering and being part of these communities influenced your professional growth? And what advice would you give to aspiring cybersecurity professionals looking to get involved?
Well, that's like my lovely topic, I would say, because I always find, for me, it always feels great when I see people who are already evolving in this environment and who are ready to, provide the mentorship, or who are ready to help the other people who are struggling to get into this field, right? So that's like a open opportunity and a free opportunity where everyone would love to go and listen to. So it gives me enough confidence and enough boost when I listen to those people's stories, when I attend those events. And when you're contributing to the community, what it will also, you also see other people looking at you and feeling inspired, which makes you feel even more proud, or I would say great for the time being, right? It's always great when you're also contributing and when you're also standing in a place where people looking up to you. And I would say it also gives you a lot of access to the job opportunities too, right? Like when you want to start, there are a lot of other people who are also looking for what we say the people who are out with the interest. It's not about the technologies that you know, it's not about the experience that you have, it's also about the interest that you're showing towards the community, right? So that's when it also gives an enough boost to get enough opportunities in these areas. And not every organization or every individual would see the same security solution in a same way. Everyone will have a different approach on that particular aspect, right? So you would have that enough knowledge sharing platform where you can see, okay, what are the ways that I can do have these solutions taken place in terms of the organization, and you get to know about different industries, different security tools as well, and you get enough exposure in terms of what experts are seeing in from their experience, right? And
Mhm.
you would, let's say you want to evolve, you want to do more, but you're not sure on how, so you get answers to all of those questions, and you get enough community support, proper motivation and inspiration. So I would say yes, it created a profound impact on my career, especially. So that's when I like, okay, yeah, I'm never gonna stop this, and yeah, I will be there available anytime if I have to do anything for the community or to volunteer for any events or anything. So
That's a very inspiring start, and community involvement really does open up so many doors for growth and learning. But do you think that building connections through these events is just as important as technical skills when it comes to advancing in cybersecurity?
absolutely right. You also need some sort of soft skills and an outgoing nature, or putting yourself in the world, right? You have to show yourself, you have to let people know what you're doing, and it's as equal as important as the technical aspect, that I would say. It's just when you talk to people, you would also, as I mentioned, like you would know what else can be done, what differently can be done. So I would say yes, absolutely.
No, it's wonderful to hear how communities like B-sides and VCs can shape careers. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on empowering women in cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is often known as a male-dominated field, but currently the tide is really turning and more women are entering the space. And you've been a great advocate for encouraging women to join and really thrive in this field. Samhita, how do you encourage and inspire more women to join and succeed in the cybersecurity industry?
Well, I would say adapt to nature, where you're prone to continuous learning, and stay curious on what exactly is happening around, and how you can do much better than any other person in your environment. So I would say to follow that continuous eagerness or the curiousness on to do certain things. And because cybersecurity is a field which is very dynamic, right? It keeps changing. The attack that you're seeing today, or the tool that you're seeing today, would never be the same tomorrow, or it's constantly evolving. Threats are evolving, the approach is changing, so it's always important to stay on top of them. And especially for women, yes, people think that it's like a more of a technical background that's required, and it's a male dominating industry where you can't really fit into the field, and it's like you have to overwork yourself, or you have to be available for 24 by 7 all the time during the work. These are like the typical idea that everyone usually have, because I was the only one. I can relate to that, because I was the only one from my family where I got into the cybersecurity, and everyone followed the typical tradition of going into the software industry and getting into software. So it's important to always know what your interest is, and breaking those stereotypes is what really the world needs. It's not about the male dominating industry, or women cannot easily get into. It's about sh- knowing what your interest is, and showing up yourself with that confidence and the
Mhm.
eagerness to contribute or learn or evolve. I think that's the only difference that you can show. So yeah, I would say let's not stop anyone if they're curious about contributing or curious about learning. Just get into the field, and yeah, you are there.
Oh, that's so incredible. It's important to hear these stories and see more women take on leadership roles in cybersecurity. But could you share any advice, Samita, for women that are looking to break into the field, particularly in roles like security operations or penetration testing?
Yes. See, that's what, like, right? Just try to understand what is your key area of interest. And if you're interested towards doing some sort of attacks or breaking something, if you're curious about breaking something or the system or whatever from your childhood, or try to find that one instance where it is triggering in your brain or in your heart that, okay, this is something that needs to be fixed and I have to do it. So there are a lot of things that needs to be fixed in this environment or in this sector, that I would say, because it's constantly evolving. If you're ready to fix something, yeah, get into. And let's say you want to protect, why aren't you stepping up, right? Like, you want to protect your environment. Like, let's say you have your home environment, home security lab uh, in your house, and how are you protecting that one? Just the same way, why don't you come out and give yourself, give contribution to a client or to a small business to secure their environment, which
Mhm.
creates a huge impact, right? You're just protecting a entire organization and saving them from having what having fallen for them into an attack,
Right.
right. Yeah, if you want to make that difference, I would say yes, come in. There are a lot of ways where you can evolve, learn, and get inspired by. Just see a lot of successful stories out there. If you're not feeling motivated, it's very open, very diverse, and easy to understand, and easy to create an impact. Even a small change, let's say you're just creating I would say, like, a small example. Let's say I was approached because there is a small business. They have started it, and they just don't have policies because they are dealing with a lot of credit card data, because they have clients who purchase a lot of projects from them, and they don't have certain practices that they have to show as a standard, right? So what I did, I just tried to explain them what exactly the standards are, and when you're dealing with, especially for the credit card data. Then I provided them some standards and the policies and the procedures, how they actually have to secure their data, what exactly they need to do with for their email security, for the conversations that they are having with their clients in order to provide those projects. And these are like very small things that you can, help with for the client. And now they are like doing great in their own way, having, it's like they got a proper trust from their clients, right? So it's like a small impact that you can create with the little knowledge that you have. So it's like you would create really a big impact even with a small contribution, I would say. So yeah, if you're ready to contribute and if you want to see some changes surrounded by you in the real world, just don't stop yourself. I don't think this is just an advice for just the women who want to get into. It's for everyone who is really interested to get into, but doesn't really have a proper way on how to do it and where to do it. So yeah,
No,
I
that's
would say
excellent advice. Thank you for sharing that, Samita. It's clear that cybersecurity requires both strategic thinking and continuous learning. And for anyone looking to start a career in cybersecurity or enhance their current security posture, remember that the right mix of learning, community involvement, and proactive strategies will take you far. Now, before we wrap up and let you go, Samita, let's change things up and explore the fun intersection of beauty and cybersecurity with a few creative and personal questions. Question one, it's a balance between both cyber and beauty. Now, in the world of cybersecurity, what parallels do you see between keeping your data secure and maintaining a beauty routine?
well, see, you oh yeah. Let's say in the cybersecurity, you always need the layers of defense, right? And every individual organization needs a different security posture according to their requirements. And when it comes to the beauty, it's the same, right? Every individual have their own different way, skin type that they need to follow depending upon what weather that we are in right now, or what country that we are in, or depending upon what water we are receiving, or it depends on everything, right? So for example, let's say you need to have you need to have proper security needs. Like, you need to have MFA, you need to have strong passwords, you need to have proper policies in your organization, and see what fits into your environment, right? The same way that we do is like, okay, we take that layered approach, like, okay, we need sunscreen, we need some sort of what we call the contour we need, or some makeup that we need, or the lipstick that we need to, showcase yourself, show that confidence. So you when you start applying makeup, you do that layering. And the
Mhm.
same way, when you start approaching the security, you do that, like, okay, what needs to be done at the basic level, and then, okay, the advanced level, what else you can do. So yes, I would say, yeah, they are parallel though.
That's a very good reference, how you've explained cybersecurity in such simple words by kind of, comparing it with the how we layer makeup in order to follow a complete routine. Now, next question is about how tech meets beauty. If you could compare cybersecurity strategies to beauty products, which product would best represent a firewall or antivirus?
Oh, that's an interesting, crazy question, I would say. Yeah. Antivirus, let's say if your face is acne prone, you would definitely, try to do some patching, right? Like, you apply some acne creams on it, where so you make sure that it doesn't spread, and
Hmm.
it doesn't grow, and it doesn't affect in any other way. And I think the same way for the antivirus. So when you have an antivirus, it protects you, it gives an additional layer, and it's like, it allows the malware to stop at the level, and it doesn't allow it to spread in your environment. And let's say you're approaching firewall, right? It is like the I can compare that with the sunscreen,
Hmm.
because no matter what, you definitely apply the sunscreen in order to protect yourself as a first layer of defense. So I would say firewall acts like that in the environment, where it acts the barrier between the outside environment and your internal network. So yes, I would say, yeah, absolutely.
Those were some
Yeah.
great examples to, kind of put them into the cybersecurity world. Now, our third question is based on confidence on camera. Samhita, in both tech and life, how do you stay confident, whether in front of a client discussing a breach or on camera sharing cybersecurity tips? Any beauty routines that give you extra boost?
Well, I think maybe I'm not exactly the right person to talk mostly about the beauty, because I don't normally follow a lot of beauty trends. But
Right.
the basic trends that I usually follow is, either way, you need proper preparation, right? Let's say you're approaching winter, you will have that preparation. Okay, we would have dry skin. We would have, you know, we would be less prone to acne, but you would be dehydrated fast. So you need to change your routine in terms of skin on what your approaching is. The same way goes with when you're approaching with the client to explain about the breach, or talking about anything that's related to security or an incident. You need the confidence, and you need that preparation on what exactly you want to, present. And that's how I would see it. And if I just have to mention that, do something which boosts your confidence to that particular time. Like, for me, it's always about having proper preparation and applying some basic makeup that gives me little confidence, and
Mm.
try to I would make sure that I have all the step by step approaches, that I clearly have to mention them. So I would make notes on the site. Even if I miss anything, I should clearly enough jump back in and explain them with a clear approach. So yeah,
Now, cybersecurity can be quite intense. How
it
do you
is.
how do you decompress after a busy day of fighting cyber threats? And do you have like a go-to beauty product for yourself?
Oh yeah. So I would just relax and apply some cool, what we call, like a face mask, like a cool face mask. And yeah, I would relax for some time, and then apply some moisturizer and a little lip balm that gives me some enough confidence, and perfectly perfume. That's like
Right.
my always go to thing. Even though I don't apply makeup, I always go to the perfume because when you smell good, yeah, obviously it somehow it gives me some kind of confidence to actually tackle anything. So yeah, that's my go-to. Like, yeah.
Go to beauty product for sure. But Samantha, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. Your insights have been invaluable, and I'm sure our listeners are walking away with some great strategies and tips. So, again, thank you so much for taking the time to share your knowledge with us.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much to everyone tuning in. We hope that today's episode with Samhita provided you with actionable insights to better protect your business and explore opportunities in the cybersecurity field. A big thank you to our sponsor, F12.net, for making this podcast possible. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your network. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos that can help you grow or start your business or apply the tips shared by our guests to your own business. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you on next time on the Lipstick and Cyber podcast. Until then, keep exploring, innovating, and staying secure. Thank you.